Hey everyone, we're in the midst of this COVID-19 virus and yeah, it's pretty crazy. All of our churches are closed. We can't come for Mass, we can't pray inside of the church. It's a crazy time. We go to the grocery store, many of the aisles are empty. But yet, in the midst of this, hopefully we'll get everything under control and we'll get back everything going again. But in the midst of this, I just wanted to kind of come up with a bit of a game plan for us, maybe for our parish, for anyone who wants to join, just to give some good things for us to do during this time. I do think in some ways like this is within God's providence, right? God doesn't do evil, but He uses it and tries to bring about a greater good through it. And what's the good? Where's the grace in the midst of this virus, in the midst of, for many of us, being stuck at home? Like I'm here at the church, no one's coming anymore. And I'm just kind of getting prepared to live like a hermit, to pray a lot and just to kind of wait this out, just like many of you, kind of trying to be a little bit more secluded. And so in the midst of that, I wonder if it's not like God saying, this Lent, it's time to slow down. This Lent, it's time for all of us just to stop and to refocus. I know for me and for many of you, we get so busy and caught up in all kinds of things. We're running around and running, even during Lent. Not having the time just to stop and to be with God. Yesterday, we had adoration for most of the day. And it was the first time in a while for me where I wasn't rushing, where I wasn't just kind of trying to get things done to get the next thing done. And I noticed this especially when I went to the church during the adoration and prayed my rosary. Just being there and sitting there and kneeling and praying and realizing like I've got nowhere else to be. I've got nothing else to do. I've got the whole day just to sit there and to pray this rosary. And it was the first time in a long time where I prayed the rosary slowly and tried to pray like every word and to really just take the time to reflect on each of the mysteries and to pray the rosary like the rosary should be prayed. And it was awesome. It was great, right? I haven't done that so long and I notice it and it's good and I don't know why I stopped doing it, why I'm not doing it like yesterday all the time because it was totally worth it. So I just bring that up because I think for many of us, it's a time where we're slowing down, we can stop, where now there's an opening. God has created an opening. There's nothing going on. No sports going on for many of us working from home or not going into work. Just everything is kind of pulling back. We're not going out to eat. We're not going to see other people. We're just on our own at home with our families. And so in the midst of that, how do we use this time well? How do we make sure that this is time that is well spent and not just wasted? It would be an awful thing if this whole time we just sat at home and binged Netflix, did Netflix and chill like the whole time. That would be awful, right? I don't want to do that, and I don't want you to do that either. So trying to come up with just a few goals for us maybe that we could use this time to grow deeper in our faith, that it could really be a grace-filled time that we have now. And so I want to throw just kind of three big things that I think would make have a good impact on our lives and our faith during this time, things that we can do. The first one is pray the rosary, right? If you're not, pray the rosary every day. Probably now you have the time and try to pray it really well. What I would like to try to do on most days, I don't know if we'll get in every day, but most days, to live stream both the rosary and that followed by the Holy Mass. If you want to join in, I'll put the dates and the times on our website, so even you can join in live, or if you want to watch it later and pray along, you can do that. For the Mass at St. Anne's, we normally have Mass in both forms, in English, in the Novus Ordo, and in Latin, the traditional Latin Mass. For many of the Masses, I'm going to do them in the traditional form. And for me, I'm doing this mainly because it'll give me some good time to practice here. We've been offering it more at St. Anne's since September last year. And for me, it gives me a chance where I can do it repeatedly each day. And be able just to get better at it. So I'm doing it partially for that reason, and also for many of you, just maybe to see the traditional form and to be able to appreciate and to benefit from the silence, from the reverence, from the prayers that are there. So if you want to follow along with both of those, I think it'd be great, and I hope that it's helpful for you. As well, for prayer. I would encourage you, if you can, to pick up the breviary. I got some of my books here that I'm going to work on. The breviary, priests pray it, but lay people are encouraged to pray it as well. You can pray this there's an app, iBreviary. Just download that app and it'll give you all the prayers. If you want to do morning prayer, evening prayer, or night prayer, any of those, you can easily do them. If you want, there's apps as well for the traditional form of the breviary. If you wanted to explore that as well, it'd be great. Another thing for prayer, and for prayer for the sacrament of confession. So the churches are closed, right? St. Anne, the bishop has asked us to have the church closed, even for private prayer. However, for confession, if you need or want confession during this time where the churches are closed, the best thing to do is just to email me would be the best, or even to call, and we can set something up individually and figure out the best place for that, if given however things develop as we're going forward. So yeah, confession is so important. We need God's mercy. It makes a huge difference in our lives, and I want to make that as available to you as I can. So those are just a few ideas maybe for prayer. The second one that I would encourage you to do is to try to do some spiritual reading. So just a few books that I'm working on during this time. There's the Dolores Passion of Our Lord Jesus Christ by Catherine Emmerich, a great reflection. It's all private revelation on the Passion of Jesus, on those last days in the life of Jesus. And for this book, she fills in just a lot of the gaps, right? She has these visions where she sees what had happened, what our Lord was going through, and fills in all these details. It's really interesting and worthwhile. I've read it before, but I'm glad to be able to try to read it again before Holy Week. And then as well, just two more books. I've been working on this one for a while. Abba Father, just on kind of divine filiation, on our sonship or daughter, being sons and daughters of God, and just what that means and living that out. Is very good. And then this one is the main one that I want to talk to you about, CHRISTUS VINCIT by Bishop Athanasius Schneider. And what I would like to do, if you're up for it, is just to work through this book. If you get the book or even get it on Kindle or on your phone or something, I just thought of maybe going through chapter by chapter, and afterwards, just after each chapter, just giving a little reflection, just a few of my own kind of thoughts or insights. And if any of you wanted to respond or to put anything up underneath those videos, go for it, right? And we just kind of this way maybe have a bit of a faith development formation, kind of just digging in a little bit more together during these days, maybe where we have a bit more time to read and a bit more time to think. I don't want to lose my spot. And then the third thing, the third thing that I would offer is I called up forum.org. I don't know if you've heard of them. But it's kind of like a Catholic Netflix, right? Again, like, I don't want you watching Netflix and just binging Netflix all the time. What a waste of time. I mean, maybe it's fun, but we're not really growing necessarily, right? So forum.org is kind of like a Catholic Netflix kind of thing. So what they have is they have all kinds of videos. They have books that you can put on your Kindle, all Catholic stuff that's really good. They have Bible studies, movies, lots of different things, talks, really good things that help to nourish, inspire our faith. Right? So I called them up and I said, look, like, our people, we need something. We need something to substitute during this time of emptiness, and this time when we don't want to just watch Netflix. So I've got them to give us a free trial that lasts from now until about Easter time, so that we can use that website and access all of their stuff. So if you would like to, just like Netflix, you log in, you create a username, account, and then you'll be able to access it on your phone, on your TV, if you have a smart TV, whatever your device is, you can use it and watch, listen, or read and all of their material. So great movies, lots of things for adults and for kids too. For all of this stuff, kind of our game plan of live streaming Mass and Rosary, of this book club, and also formed this website, Catholic Netflix. These three things, I'll put more information on our website so you can easily access all of them. For all of us, this is challenging time, right? It's a challenging time for all of us when we're at home more, when maybe we aren't able to do the things that we want. For maybe I know for some of our people, they're unable to visit their parents, maybe who are in nursing homes, or there's people in the hospital. There's lots of challenges. So let's use this time certainly to pray for each other, to know that we are still together. We're still a community. We're still united together, mainly if it's through prayer. and keep an eye out, right? Keep an eye out for anyone who's in need, or even just to think to call some other people who are alone, maybe who might need some help, who we can keep an eye out for. And that's all I've got right now, and we'll see you again soon.